All right, looks like everyone's presentations are done, Williams said, trying to move the discussion forward. Excuse me, I haven't yet. So, this is something I found out recently. Williams interrupts me to start his speech. It seems we have someone in this department who not only dropped out of high school, but is also a part-timer. Meetings should be enough with just the employees. Absolutely, Smith, Williams' yes man, agrees with him. I'm leaving. After leaving the meeting room, I went to the computer to shut it down. Suddenly, I noticed an email had arrived at the company-wide shared email address, not just for me. Figuring nobody would listen to me anyway, I silently went home. The next day, a loud noise could be heard from the director's seat. He was staring at the computer screen, pale-faced. "Director, what's wrong?" Smith leaned in to look at the screen together with Williams and turned even paler. Why are they so angry? Knowing the reason for Smith's distress, I muttered to myself that it was self-inflicted. My name is Sam. My mother passed away when I was in my junior year of middle school, and I was raised by my father. Well, it might be a stretch to say I was raised. After my mother was gone, my father changed. He drowned himself in alcohol, and though he went to work, he poured even the living expenses into gambling on horse races. Because of that, I had no time to indulge in my sorrow and had to start working part-time as soon as I entered high school. Every month, with the bills that couldn't be paid from my father's account, from the electric and gas companies in hand, I headed to the convenience store. I endured because I hated the idea of being alone, but by my sophomore year of high school, I hit my limit and dropped out. I ended up working and living at an inn far away. Thank you for everything. On the day I left home, my father spoke without taking his eyes off the TV. Take care then. That was our last conversation. At the time, since I wasn't of legal adult age at 18, I needed my father's permission to work, and I couldn't hide where I was working. Yet my father never once came to see me. I just kept working to survive, and before I knew it, I turned 42. My years of hard work were recognized, and I was ordered to transfer to the headquarters. Considering my educational background, I was happy to be recognized by the company, thinking I would work on-site until retirement. Listen, the future of our employees depends on our work. Don't let us down, okay? On my first day after the transfer, Director Williams, dressed in an expensive suit, said this in a strong tone. There was a reason for this. Our inn was located in one of the country's leading tourist spots, known to everyone in the county so much so that they could sing the commercial jingle. At its peak, we had 5 branches within the county, but that's a story of the past. Due to financial difficulties and aging, only the place where I had worked for many years and the original site of operation remained. I had been prepared to lose my job at any time, but now I started to see hope. With the spread of social media, the tourist spot where our inn is located started to pick up attention again. Whether we become winners or hand over this prime location to the hotel chains that are entering the market one after another depends on the efforts of the sales department I was transferred to. For Williams, who switched careers from a different industry to strengthen sales capabilities, it's a battle he cannot afford to lose. I thought it was only natural to be told harsh things. I'll do my best, I declared with full spirit. Williams sneered at me. Didn't you hear what I said? I'm sorry. I thought I was listening properly. I reflexively apologized out of habit developed from years of customer service, but I couldn't understand at all what bothered him. There was someone smirking at me. In this department, there are 2 types of people. Those who are expected to do well and those who have nowhere else to go and are shoved here. You're the latter. That's the manager, Smith. Despite being 35 years old, 7 years younger than me, he was called to the headquarters much earlier than me and had been transferred around within the headquarters. It's not that I'm jealous, but I can't accept that this guy is my boss. Maybe it's because he's from a prestigious university and smart, but he's incredibly arrogant, and as a rookie, he caused numerous troubles, and I, who was the front leader at the time, was forced to go through quite a hardship. When I found out Smith had been transferred to the sales department a month before me, my heart sank. Smith's right. With your high school dropout background, there's only so much you can do. Don't even think about achieving results, Williams said, as if I didn't exist from the start. I'm thirsty. Smith happily ran to the coffee maker. Apparently, Smith was Williams's yes man. I deeply regretted being happy about my transfer to headquarters, thinking it would have been better to stay on site forever. Contact all of the companies on this list by today. Williams only entrusted me with tasks even a new grad could handle. There are over 1,000 companies. You want all of these sent out today. That's right. If you and your buddies split it up, even the ones with nowhere else to go should be able to finish by today. I glanced at the employees typing emotionlessly on their keyboards. Employees tired from customer service, thinking only of leaving at regular hours. A woman who was removed from customer service as soon as she had a baby. All of my coworkers had virtually zero motivation for work, each for their own reasons. Incidentally, Brown, a new grad from the same university as Smith, was supposedly given high expectations. He seemed to have joined wanting to do customer service, but showed no enthusiasm for work. I think it's okay to quit anytime, so I don't care what I'm told, he said. Only Williams and Smith were brimming with motivation, and everything was decided by their discussion. I initially just wanted to work and live in to survive with no particular attachment to this job. Feeling I had no right to criticize them, I swallowed everything I wanted to say. Then, about a month after my transfer, Williams, looking frustrated, told us, for our 50th anniversary, we've decided to create a plan limited to one group per day. It was supposed to be just Smith and me thinking about it, but the president insists on hearing everyone's opinion, so I'm giving you guys a chance. As Williams explained, Smith started distributing the printouts. Make sure you come up with something good so you don't embarrass the director. If it's half-baked, I'll make you resubmit it. It seems the president had handwritten something, which was then copied with several questions followed by a space for free answers. Understanding that Williams had to ask for our opinions, since all of them needed to be passed to the president, I was convinced. We were given a week to think, and a meeting was held to consolidate our ideas. The plan I'm thinking of will let guests fully enjoy both traditional and modern Japan. Williams was the first to start his presentation. A visit to a nearby long-established Japanese confectionery shop to watch artisans make sweets right before your eyes. Welcome drinks of bottled high-grade green tea. Indeed, Williams's plan was active. After finishing his presentation, Williams led us, presenting in the order we were seated. Just as I was about to stand up, Williams said, "All right, looks like everyone's presentations are done. Excuse me, but I haven't yet. So, about something I found out recently." Williams interrupted me to start talking. "It seems we have someone in this department who not only dropped out of high school, but also started as a part-timer. Probably me. I joined as a part-timer and was made a full-time employee when I turned 20. It was 20 years ago, so Williams and Smith probably didn't have the chance to know about it until recently. Meetings should be enough with just the employees." Absolutely. After that, Williams, perhaps to show off to me, created several situations to ask for everyone's opinion, but never gave me the chance to speak. Unexpectedly, the meeting heated up and went overtime. A few people asked to leave, and the conversation continued with the few who remained. Normally, you'd leave after that flow. I had no attachment to this job initially, but after receiving kind words from the guests, I started wanting to please them more. For me, who has no other place to go, the inn is my home, and serving guests is my life's purpose. I feel ashamed of myself now. I'm leaving. After leaving the meeting room, I went to my computer to shut it down. Suddenly, I noticed an email had arrived at the company-wide shared email address, not just for me. Figuring nobody would listen to me anyway, I silently went home. The next day, as I was preparing to contact companies as instructed, I heard a loud noise from the director's seat. He seemed to have stood up so hastily that he hit his knee against the desk, staring at the computer screen, his face pale. "Director, what happened?" Thinking he had to be the first to rush over, Smith, still in his coat, went to Williams. He leaned in to look at the screen together and turned even paler than Williams. "Why are they so angry?" "Who's in charge of this account?" asked an unusually irritated Williams. Smith answered without checking, "Maybe it's Brown." Brown had a training session for new graduates in the morning and wasn't present. Williams, giving up on being angry, returned his gaze to the screen. What they were looking at was an email received just after closing time yesterday. It seems none of us checked it before leaving. The sender was a major corporation that uses our inn for their annual employee trips. The company's president and executives also use it frequently for personal visits. The president of that company personally stated that they would no longer use our services, both professionally and personally. Well, there are plenty of companies that cancel their employee trips or stop using services because they're not doing well financially, right? "Let's not worry and move on," Smith said, wiping the unstoppable sweat on his forehead with a handkerchief. Knowing the reason why Smith was so shaken, I quietly watched their exchange. "Do you have any idea how much that company was spending here for lodging? We can just get replacement guests, but we're going to lose out on banquet dining, the commission for souvenirs we arrange, rental car fees, and more." Incidentally, souvenirs were from the traditional Japanese confectionery shop Williams planned to cooperate with for his proposal. If it became known that we incurred a significant loss at such a crucial time, it could endanger our positions within the company. Perhaps realizing he needed to calm down, Williams took a deep breath. "All right, Smith, go to New York right now and apologize to the president." You're coming with me, right, Director?" "I have urgent work to do. I'm entrusting you with this because I trust you. Don't let me down." Smith, believing Williams truly felt that way, accepted with a resolved expression, saying yes, knowing Williams, if Smith's apology doesn't change the client's mind, he's probably planning to pin all the blame on him. Well, since the root cause is Smith's doing, it's what you call karma. About 3 hours later, Brown, who had just returned from training and was on a call, kept saying, "I'm terribly sorry," over and over. Everyone glanced around, wondering what was going on. After hanging up, he lethargically relayed the message to Williams. It seems Smith arrived at the client's company and made things worse, enraging the president. "The president is asking us to bring Smith's superior right now." Considering Brown took this call right after returning from training, his lack of enthusiasm is understandable. "What is that guy doing? Can't be helped. Sam, you're coming too. If Smith's sacrifice fails, I'm next in line. Ideally, I'd refuse at all costs, but this situation also holds some merit for me. If you're okay with me, I'd like to come along." Quietly following Williams, we took the bullet train to New York. When we announced ourselves at the reception, the situation seemed serious and a receptionist escorted us to the president's office. From the gap in the door, we could hear yelling, and both Williams and I were dismayed. "Excuse us, I'm Williams, Smith's supervisor. It seems my subordinate has caused you inconvenience, and for that, I deeply apologize." Williams, having worked in major companies, apparently has the common sense to apologize first in such situations, though it seems he lacks customer service common sense. I sighed as I looked at Smith, trembling in a corner like a small dog. "What kind of training are you giving your subordinates?" The client's president was glaring at Williams with a face red with anger. Even Williams stepped back under the sharpness of that gaze. Embarrassingly, I only transferred to this company about 2 years ago. I had just moved Smith to our department and wasn't fully aware of his background. I should have recognized the issues with him sooner. That's right, I should have noticed sooner too. Anyone with common sense wouldn't present the disadvantages of not staying at our inn after coming to apologize. Williams was frozen with his mouth half open, thinking maybe I picked up the documents that had fallen on the floor. Smith seemed to have hastily prepared the document on the bullet train with the disadvantages listed in bullet points. Disadvantage number 1. If you change the location for the employee trip, it could be suspected as a cost-cutting measure and negatively impact how employees view you. I read it out, somewhat amused. Williams snatched the documents from my hand, checking the content with a demonic expression. Among the pile of documents was a receipt from a nearby convenience store's copier, making me worry if he hadn't shown that receipt as well. What do you think he said when I asked what kind of nerve he had? I'm very sorry. He must have thought apologizing was the only option given the situation. Williams spoke an apology in the smallest voice I've ever heard from him. I graduated from Tokyo University. I'm smart, so I don't think I said anything wrong. Smith, what have you done? The shock was so great that Williams forgot he was trying to blame Smith, and despite being in front of the client's president, he raised his voice. I didn't do anything wrong. You still say that? Look at him. With trembling hands, Smith pointed at me. I made it to headquarters in my 20s. Now I'm the sales department manager, and yet this guy only got to headquarters at 42. Everything I've done so far was right. That's the proof, so why are we getting our contract cut off? After saying what he wanted, Smith just collapsed to the floor. Isn't it obvious? You're the one with nowhere else to go, shoved there. He probably didn't expect to be told off by me, whom he looked down upon. Smith tried to grab me, and Williams hurried to stop him. The president said, Smith is a quick thinker and to take good care of him. There's no way he was shoved off to us. Don't increase our problems with the client company any further. Quick thinker. Wasn't it only quick at thinking that was mentioned? I don't remember it that well, but I recalled all the trouble Smith caused when he was a new recruit. When Smith was on the front lines, due to arrogance, he absolutely refused to apologize to customers. Customer service, especially in our job, doesn't work alone. There are good and bad sides to it. Whether it's insufficient explanation by the front staff or innkeepers or failures in room cleaning by the cleaning company, there are times when you have to apologize to customers even if it's not your fault, depending on the situation. Smith, in such situations, stubbornly refused to utter words of apology because he believed he was not at fault. Because of that, he frequently injured customers, and I, who was the front leader at the time, often had to apologize in his place, causing complaints and hindering work when placed on the front line. That's why Smith was moved to headquarters so early. Before transferring to the sales department, he was in a department where he didn't directly deal with customers, where his quick thinking seemed to work well. But it looks like his shortcomings are starting to show. For corporate bookings, the person handling the sales is supposed to enter them into the system. But just from a quick check yesterday, there were over 10 items not entered for the client's booking. Didn't the handover document specify what to prepare and how? Why didn't you enter it into the system? Why do I have to give them such special treatment, assign rooms close to the banquet hall, set all dishes in the banquet hall beforehand, specify the brand of Japanese alcohol? It's too much to ask. That's why he always upsets the customers, I thought, my head aching. Assigning rooms near the banquet hall is also for our benefit. It aligns the timing for setting futons and serving breakfast the next day, making it easier for the innkeepers to move around. The remaining 2 were suggestions by the president to reduce our workload. I didn't know that. Williams finally seemed to realize that Smith was the one who had upset the client in the first place. What did you say to them? I only informed them we would not provide special treatment anymore. It's not right to expend effort on useless things that don't make money. I was utterly dismayed at his lack of understanding of customer service. Of course, we shouldn't comply with unreasonable demands, but by continuing to provide services that our customers appreciated and remembered, we make their time with us more enjoyable, creating good memories. If they have a good experience, they're likely to stay with us again. That's part of our job, to lead to the next opportunity. I looked down at Smith, who was sitting on the floor. There's nothing we do without purpose in our job. The president probably transferred Smith to the sales department thinking it was about time he realized that. I wonder what he thinks of you now, failing to meet those expectations. Smith, tears welling up in his eyes, fled the president's office as if escaping. I couldn't help but marvel at his refusal to apologize even then. "It's tough for you, isn't it, Sam?" The client president said. "It's okay. We're all employees of the same company. I'm really sorry for this disrespectful situation, despite your always being so considerate. If it weren't for you, Sam, I truly would have never stayed again. I heard you were moving to the sales department, and I thought if you handled it, I'd reconsider." Williams's face twitched as he saw us talking amicably. "Do you two know each other?" "Sam's service is exceptional. I had requested that he be in charge whenever possible. Normally, we don't accept nominations, but we made exceptions for the president due to our gratitude, adjusting shifts accordingly. Just before the transfer, he stayed personally, and I mentioned in passing I was moving to the sales department soon. The thought of how much worse it could have been if I hadn't told him then sent shivers down my spine. I look forward to working with you in the future. I'll be waiting." On the ride back on the bullet train, Williams awkwardly offered me a can of beer. It's still working hours after all. Of course, I'm not going to forgive him with just one beer. If things continue this way, Williams might push everything onto Smith and avoid any demotion or punishment. Just when I was thinking about what to do, an unbelievable fact came to light. "Director, the bottles of tea for the plan have arrived." Handing over the tea with a custom label to Williams, he placed it on his desk with satisfaction. "Isn't it good how it's a plastic bottle? Not the kind of bottle I was expecting. I had assumed we would be using bottled tea, which has become popular as a gift item in recent years. But when the prototype arrived, it turned out to be just ordinary tea in a plastic bottle with only the label carrying the inn's name, making it seem original. Upon inquiry, it was discovered that a large sum of money was supposed to be paid to the tea manufacturer. Isn't that the price of bottled tea? Does one plastic bottle cost $100? The tea inside was specially blended for us. That's the fee for it. Wouldn't it be better to ask another tea manufacturer then, or is there a reason it has to be this company?" Williams continued making excuses, so I showed him the printed email. "I just told the president that we uncovered illicit financial transactions, and the tea company's president confessed. He said he was your high school classmate and planned to split the extra money with you. That guy has always been too dumb. Why would he confess? You might want to worry about yourself instead. This could become a police matter if handled poorly." In front of a stunned Williams, I opened the cap of the plastic bottle. "Why don't you drink this tea to calm down? Tea is supposed to have a relaxing effect." Williams gulped down the contents of the plastic bottle like a madman. Within a few days, the punishments for the two were decided. Smith was relegated to work in general affairs with no chance of transfer or promotion, as decreed by the president. As for Williams, since no payment had actually been made to the tea company yet, he narrowly avoided a police case. Instead, he was encouraged to leave the company, and to avoid further trouble, he submitted his resignation. Rumors say he's having difficulty finding re-employment due to the connections between HR departments spreading the information. Just the absence of those two was a relief, but something unexpected happened in the sales department. Everyone became motivated and united to redevelop the plan for the 50th anniversary. The plan that was ultimately adopted was the one I had proposed. We got cooperation from the Tourist Information Center, including a dedicated guide. The plan changes with the number of guests, truly making it a special plan worthy of the 50th anniversary. "Hey, is your family coming to stay?" Brown noticed it quickly by looking at the reservation list. "Yeah, I thought I'd invite my dad over." Being filial, "Huh, that's typical of you. Maybe I should have my dad stay over too." I didn't have the courage to face my father just as myself, but here, as I've been praised by the president, I can be confident in myself. I thought the 50th anniversary plan was a perfect opportunity to reunite with my father, hoping for days when I can laugh with my father again just like when I was a kid.